Welcome to another stream. This is stream number 20. Can you believe it? 20 streams. 20 streams. Unbelievable. Time really moves. 20 streams and life is moving. So let's go ahead. I don't know, my audio seems like kind of like a radio voice. Let me try to play it from this other screen and see how it sounds. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, so today we'll be learning about two things, okay? The path operation configuration, and then I'll go to the next one, JSON Compatible Encoder, okay? Of course, the goal is not to simply finish studying documentation, but understanding every piece from this tutorial guide. And like you know, very soon, when I'm done with this, I'll start building a project. So yeah, let's start. Let me understand what this is. Path operation configuration says there are several parameters that you can pass to your path operation decorator to configure it. Okay, and immediately it's a warning. It's the first time I think I'm seeing a warning just after reading the first thing. Okay. So of course, now to understand this statement, you have to know what a path operation decorator is. For those who are watching this for the first time, simply this part, okay? What I've highlighted here in the code is the path operation decorator. So you're saying, this is a warning saying, notice these parameters are passed directly to the path operation decorator, not to your path operation function. They are passed directly to the path operation decorator, not your path operation function. So if you don't know what a path operation decorator is and a path operation function, you'll be kicked off, okay? But of course, we have a stream on that and you can go and watch it if you haven't. But briefly, this is the path operation decorator and this is the path operation function. So the parameters are applied to this, not this, okay? I hope that makes sense. So I'll go on to study and see what they say. So they're saying response status code. You can define the HTTP status code to be used in the response of your path operation. Okay. So they're saying you can pass directly the int code like 404. But if you don't remember what each number code is for, you can use the shortcut constants in status, just like we saw when we were studying. When I was studying about, was it the response model? In that documentation, we had something like that. Okay. So yeah, let's continue. Python 3.10 plus, okay. From FastAPI, import FastAPI and status, okay. Then, and this one, of course, they have highlighted, okay. And status is helping us not to have to memorize these codes, okay. Using the dot syntax, status dot, then we see the available options. So base model imported from Pydantic. There's an instance of FastAPI here. Then there's a Pydantic model with code item with a name, a description which is optional, a price, tax which is also optional, and then tags with a default empty set. Then they have this part, the path operation decorator, which has been highlighted also. And of course, they show us here that you can see the status code equals to status.http 201 created. Okay, so if I copy this, I can replace what we have here. And like you see here, I was trying to kill the processes of FastAPI, which were running earlier. For some reason, I think because they're using Gunicon, not Gunicon, but UVCon, it spans multiple sub-processes, and killing them using Command C or Control C is hard. So I had to find out using this command what is running on port 8000. When I got done with that, then I had to use kill, okay, to kill that operation, okay. But I'll go back here and run the command FastAPI. I keep on forgetting it. Dev main.py. I hope I've not forgotten it this time. And there we are. So I can go to this address, okay? And the endpoint, if I can be, actually the endpoint is not important right now. What I want is to see the documentation, because you can still test this in the documentation. I see the chat, J Ha. Is this J Ha Happy or J Ha Happy? Says, hi, I'm just starting to learn Python, and and how I start learning Python and where to learn Python step by step. Yeah, so there are several ways you can learn Python. You can learn by reading their official documentation. Okay, that is one way. Or you can use YouTube, or you can go to a course. Okay, you can do an online course to learn Python. So YouTube, the documentation. So I say official Python documentation. Okay, you may try this, but it may not be okay good for you as a beginning. You may not be able to understand, but if you think you can look at their tutorial. They have a tutorial here. Okay, the Python tutorial. You can try this. Okay, and you see here they say this tutorial is designed for programmers that are new to the Python languages, not beginners who are new to programming. So, or you can use maybe simply go to YouTube or Google Python tutorial. There's a guy called Mosh. Okay, you can look at this one here. Here's one of Python full course for beginners 2025. You can look at this guy or any other creator on YouTube, or go and do courses. Okay, like on Udemy, or you can do a course on something like ALX, whatever. Okay, yeah. So those are the ideas I can give. But watching this case story is a good first step. Then you can go to the documentation. The documentation, if you're not satisfied, you can do anything. But usually YouTube with a course and documentation is enough. And of course, you can combine it with AI by asking AI to answer for you a few things that you don't understand. Okay, so I'll just answering that question in the chat. Let me continue. So let me know if I've answered your question correctly. Is it J Hahapai? Something like that. Let me know if I've answered your question. If you have a follow-up question, you can still ask. Okay, so let's continue. This is the endpoint. Okay, we can see that the request body is required, no parameters. Okay, and this is what we have. Okay, this is what we have. This application JSON, and we see that it a 201. If you come back here, you see it is a 201. That is put here. So this is the first configuration that we have learned about. Let's continue. Guys, having other versions and variants, like in Python 3.9 and those having Python 3.8 and above. Yeah, you can look at this. But what changes, I think, is probably union only. And I think in our first or second stream, we talked about this. So you can, yeah, modify where union is only, I think. And of course, read this to be careful so that you don't miss anything. But as for me, my Python version is 3.10 and above. So I am pretty much sorted. So they're saying this, that status code will be used in the response and will be added to the Open API schema. Okay, like I've just shown you. This UI is actually generated from the Open API schema. Okay, that's why we're able to have it here. So they're saying technical details. You could also use from starlet import status. They're saying FastAPI provides the same starlet.status as FastAPI.status, just as a convenience for you, the developer. But it comes directly from starlet. Okay. So what we have here in our code, this status here, okay, is simply convenience for us. But we know that it comes from starlet. Okay. Yeah. It's a good technical thing to have to know. So they're saying tags. They're saying you can add tags to your path operation, pass the parameter tags with a list of strings. commonly just one str. So where is it? We see tag, we have two, actually they have three definitions. There's this one, okay, a path operation decorator having items, and it's a post request, okay. There's also items but a get request, then there's also users but get, and each of them they have passed tags, okay, tags, 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 okay. And this is what? A list. So we're saying a list of str, and commonly it is simply one string. So tags equals to a list, but inside you have a string. Tags equals to a list, but inside you have a string. Tags equals to users, but this string users inside a string. Okay. So you're saying they will be added to the Open API schema and used by the automatic documentation interfaces. Okay. I'm happy to see that. Yeah, I've helped you. That's good to know. So let's continue. But instead of viewing this, we can look at it by ourselves. I can copy this, okay, and paste it here, okay, and then maybe reduce the size of this, okay. Anyway, let's go to the documentation. That's what I want. Refresh. So you see we have the three endpoints, okay? Items, get, items, post, users, get. Okay, and I like how they have automatically grouped them, items and users. So if you go to items, okay, and you see the example value, okay, they give an example value, a string, okay. So I want to scroll. Let me close this one. Okay, I'm looking for where, if there's anything like tag that they have put. I don't quite understand this tag thing. Okay, I don't quite understand it. Let me see. Did they say it's going to appear in the schema or in the UI? Okay, so they say they will be added to Open API schema and used by the automatic documentation interfaces. Okay, let us see. Where do the tags actually appear? Is it this text? If I close this, are they referring to this text here? Okay, read items, create item, read users. Let me try to do this. Let me try to remove. Okay, this is how I'm going to learn, because I can only learn by experiment. If I remove this and save, okay, so it's not there anymore, and I refresh, it is still there. Okay, all those other things are still there. So I'm starting to wonder where do the tags actually appear? Okay, do you see? Let me go back here. If anybody has understood, please let me know. Okay, come here, refresh, open. Come on, I'm not saving. I want to refresh this, open, and try to read carefully. What tag? What is the tag here? Okay, I was expecting to see some extra text. But if I undo, okay, save, what is for get items, and I open, okay, maybe it is in try it out. If I say try it out, I don't see, okay, I don't see the tag. Maybe they've deprecated it. Then it says click check on schemas at the bottom. Okay, Linus, let me try that. See if I say item. Ah, wow, that's why I like learning in teams. Now let me undo all this. Let me undo what I did. Yeah. And Linus, if you remember properly, all of you who are watching, who are going to watch this later after the stream, in the past streams, I ignored this, okay, knowing that maybe later they will what? Explain this. But this actually has forced me to give attention to the schemas here. what I've been talking about all along, okay, in the schemas. So like Linus, I appreciate. Thank you very much. So the tag is added here. So like for item, we are seeing that there's a tag, okay, item string. Okay, yeah, nice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So got the detail, I expand. Okay, so I think this is for the error. This is for the error. This is for the actual item. Okay, nice. Finally, it makes sense. Now you made my life easy, Linus. So let's continue. Actually, if you read this, they said they'll be added to the Open API schema. Okay, Open API schema and used by automatic documentation interfaces, meaning either Swagger or something else like Redoc. By the way, it's long since I checked Redoc. If I check, okay, say docs. In the beginning, we looked at Redoc, but I don't know how to get it anymore. But it's okay. Let me not take us backwards. Okay, we can do that maybe at the end. So let me continue. They're saying tags with enums. Okay, if you have a big application that you might end up accumulating several tags, and you would want to make sure you always use the same tag for related path operations. Wow, someone has called me like 10 times. Let me send them a message just to be sure. All right, I'm done with them. Let's continue. If you have a big application, you might end up accumulating several tags, and you would want to make sure you always use the same tag for related path operations. In these cases, it would make sense to store the tags in an enum. So they're saying FastAPI supports the same way as with plain strings. So this works from Python 3.8 and above. So they're saying from enum, import enum. Okay, we know this line of code. They're simply importing FastAPI from FastAPI, an instance of FastAPI. Then here they have a class tags, which inherits from enum. Okay, so essentially tags is also enum. Okay, or an enumeration. So they have items equals to items, users equals to users. Okay, then right here they're now using the enum saying tags dot items and tags dot users. So this helps you to group related things together. Okay, for example, if you had maybe like 20 tags, okay, you don't want to have them manual in your path operation function. The enum makes life easy. So if I copy this and save and go back to the docs, okay, I don't want only items, I want all the docs. Okay, so yeah, this is what we have so far. Not bad. Of course, we know it's the schema which changes. Okay, so let me do this. Let me first go back here and complete. Something just come to my mind concerning Redoc that we are going to talk about soon. Okay, so yeah, this is how you add the tags using an enum, because the whole idea is this. Assuming you had several of them, okay? This way I want AI to help me. Maybe there's default, I don't know, something like that. Projects, okay, devices, okay, and all these are related. So here, if I wanted to change, simply set tags dot users, okay, and it gives me one place to make edits, okay. Like here, can simply come and say tags dot users and customer, something like that. You get, and I wouldn't have to change this and also change this. I only make an edit in one place. So relatively, yeah, easy. I think you get the point. Linus says, you are welcome. I also appreciate what I've learned from you. Yeah, excuse me, that's truly humbling. Truly humbling. Okay, so let me move on. The saying summary and description. You can add the summary and description. So you see, all these, remember, are attributes of the path operation decorator. So then there are the model, then there's a summary, okay, and a description. So you're saying we can add a tag, you can add a summary, you can add a description. So I'll copy all this. Things have now become simple. This is quite actually easy. They pass the summary, okay, a string, then the description. And then of course you can even add tags if you want. You can say tags equals to like that. Then I can say tags dot, wait, I removed the tags. Okay, I need to copy this. Okay, and paste it here like that. Then I can say from enum, import enum like that. So it will be tags dot, say dot users, just like that, and we leave it. Okay, just to make sure that I learn from everything I've learned so far. Okay, so what's missing? Why do we have an error? Was something was not closed? What was not closed? I need a comma here. Okay, yeah, that is it. So can I add a summary and description? And then they say description from docstring. Of course, if you refresh this, you'd expect to have that kind of stuff. Okay, so you can see the tags are still here. Okay, and there's also this description stuff. But wait, it's part of the what? The base model. Okay, so yeah, this is the description. If you look at this text, okay, this text here is exactly this one here. This is the description. And then this is the summary. This piece of text is the one which is here. Yeah, pretty good. The docs are pretty nice. So Linus says, what I have personally noted with FastAPI documentation is that the title for a section might seem scary, but once you dive in, you find they are understandable. Yeah, I agree. Like now, if you read path operation configuration, like, whoa, path, then operation, then configuration. But come on, it's just, we're just changing what? We're just learning about function arguments and giving them values. Summary, give it a string. Description, give it a string. Tags, give it a list. Same, yeah, Linus, you're right. It can seem daunting, but there's really nothing. If you just give it concentration and you read line by line, it's pretty easy. All right, let's continue. Description from docstring. They're saying as descriptions tend to be longer and cover multiple lines, you can declare the path operation description in the function docstring. And FastAPI will read it from there. Let me try to read this again. As descriptions tend to be long and cover multiple lines, okay, like we have a long one here, okay, they're saying you can declare the path operation description in the function docstring and FastAPI will read it from there. Oh, that's nice. So meaning I can put a docstring inside here, okay, something like this. Let me try it before I look at their example, okay. I hit tab to accept what they have given. Actually, I think it's the same like what we had before, okay. Then I remove this, create another line. Why is it giving me an error? Okay, then I want to just copy the same. and paste that just to try to like create something long, a long description. Then I come here and I refresh. Here it is. Yeah, very easy. Actually, I would go for this. Okay, I would go for a docstring. I feel it's easier than having to put an argument here. Docstring is much better and cleaner, at least in my opinion. I think it is just something I'm used to. Okay, so they're saying you can write markdown in the docstring and it will be interpreted and displayed correctly, taking into account docstring indentation. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so here they have an example. Okay, let me copy their entire docstring, only that. Then I come here. I think if you guys have done created readmes, of which I would expect that maybe most of us have done readmes. Readmes are written using markdown. Okay, so this could mean bulleting, these dashes, then these asterisks are for making things bold. Okay, so let us go to documentation to see the difference. And there it is. First thing, each of these are bullets, and the first words are made bold. Yeah, pretty easy. So if you've been creating readmes, this becomes easy. And of course, if it is a lot and you have text that you want to format using Markdown, it is something very simple to do these days. Throw it to your LLM and then you can generate for you text in Markdown. And of course, you just review it and make manual edits where necessary. So they're saying it will be used in interactive docs. The other versions and variants we have, for those working with Python 3.9 and those 3.8, please look at this, okay? But I think what changes only probably union. You're using union for your type annotation right here. The rest look the same. If I go to 3.8, the same thing, I think only using union for your type annotation for description and also for tags. And maybe also tags, you see? Union, set. Let me go to 3.9. Yeah, the same thing, apart from maybe set. Yeah, but the idea is pretty much the same. Okay, so if I scroll through this, yeah, they're just showing us this section, which I've already showed you on the other end. So they're saying response description. You can specify the response description with the parameter response description. Okay, so let's go. So response description, they're saying the created item. Guys, why didn't someone tell me this was going to be too easy? Okay, too easy. This is easier than eating a banana, guys. So yeah, let me just copy it. Or we'll leave AI to generate it for us. Come in, say response description. Wow. How do they know? I guess they've been trained on the data on the FastAPI documentation. Yeah, this is it. The created item. This is the description. Very easy. There's nothing really hard here today. So some info, they say notice that response description refers specifically to the response. The description refers to the path operation in general. So what that means is that this description here refers to everything, okay? Everything, generally, okay? But this one here refers to only this line of code, what you're returning. So they're saying check, they're saying OpenAPI specifies that each what is happening to me today? OpenAPI specifies that each path operation requires a response description. So if you don't provide one, FastAPI will automatically generate one of successful response. OpenAPI specifies that each operation requires a response description. So if you don't provide one, FastAPI will automatically generate one. Yeah, so that is good. Okay, great for us one because yeah, unless maybe the response is kind of maybe tricky and cannot be explained by you just seeing an example, then this could come in handy. So yeah, I guess this is just there to show us the description. But again, theirs has a dark background. Ours didn't have any. So I guess versions being different, they need to update their documentation. Next up, they're saying deprecate a path operation. If you need to mark a path operation as deprecated, but without removing it, pass the parameter deprecated. So this, okay? You want to mark it as deprecated, but you don't want to remove it. You pass this parameter deprecated. So let's deprecate ours. I come here and I say deprecated equals to true. So meaning by default, it is false, okay? So if I come back here and refresh, there we are. You can see they have grayed it out, okay? Nice. I want to copy this one I saw in the documentation. I want to copy these two. These two actually. This one's down here. Come here and paste them just below here. Right now, life is very easy. If you've been following with me from the very beginning, this is very easy. There's nothing even hard. Very easy. I refresh, okay, and close up this one. So you see, this one is not deprecated, but these two have been grayed out. Very nice. You can see that warning deprecated. Awesome. I love this. Okay, they're saying it will be clearly marked as deprecated in the interactive docs. So they're saying check how deprecated and non-deprecated path operations look like. We have seen that. Okay. The one which is deprecated is grayed out and striked through like this. The other ones are active with those brilliant colors. Okay. Recap. You can configure and add metadata for your path operations easily by passing parameters to the path operation decorators. Yeah, very nice, very simple. So now I think we can go to the next topic. Okay. With the next topic. This has been very easy. If not the easiest thing I've studied so far. But remember, guys, this is very easy because we have understood what a path operation function is. We know what a path decoration function is. We know what status codes are. We know what the return type can be like. So many things we've learned about pandatic models, validation, how filtering works. So many things, okay? That now it makes this very easy, okay? So have that in mind. So in summary, the configuration you can add, okay, are simply arguments, so parameters, okay? We have response model. This is actually, if by the, technically this is the first one we learned about some, either 2 or 3 streams ago. We learned about response model. You can add tags, you can add a summary, you can add a description. For the response, you can add deprecated, or you can add a description like this using the Python doc string, or explicitly come and say description like this equals to that. Okay. All right. Very easy. We go to the next thing. JSON compatible encoder. And this is another short one. Okay. Another short stuff. And maybe we'll end here and then tomorrow start on something else. 20th stream, and yeah, things are now getting Lena says we now have knowledge to understand things. Baby steps are now paying us. Yes, correct. Now paying off. And that's what consistency, being consistent and discipline is all about. JSON compatible encoder. There are some cases where you might need to convert a data type like a pandatic model to something compatible with JSON, like a dict, list, etc. Okay, so you want to convert a data type like a pandatic model, okay, maybe something like this model, okay, an instance of this model to a dictionary, a list, etc. Okay, say they say, for example, you need to store it in a database. They're saying for that, FastAPI provides a JSONable encoder function. Okay, so they're saying using the JSONable encoder, So what is the JSON-able encoder? It is a function which helps us to convert data types like instances of the pydantic model to something compatible with JSON. For example, a list is compatible with JSON. A dictionary is compatible with JSON. Why? For a case like maybe storing it in a database or storing it in something like maybe your file, anything. Okay, so yeah, this is nice. So I want to continue studying this. They're saying, let's imagine you have a database, fake_db or fake db, that only receives JSON compatible data. So the database only receives JSON data, which means if the data is not JSON, we must convert it to JSON before storing it to this fake database. Otherwise, it will not work. So they're saying, for example, it doesn't receive datetime objects as those are not compatible with JSON. That's correct. Datetime is not equals to JSON. So they're saying a datetime object would have to be converted to a string containing the data in ISO format. Okay. So if you don't know what ISO is just a standard. Okay. Let me click here, maybe to show that you see. It is simply an international standard. Okay. For example, you can say maybe I can even, for example, in ISO they can say when you're defining maybe a date time, you must start with the day, then the year, then the month, then maybe second, like that. But maybe another standard might say, no, don't start with the day, start with the year, day, month. Okay. So those standards help us to follow global rules that everybody can comply by. Okay, so here they're saying it has to be converted to a string containing that data in ISO format. And they're saying this the same way this database wouldn't receive a pydantic model, an object with attributes, only a dict. Because a pydantic model is not JSONable. Okay, it is not JSON, it's a different type, okay, altogether. So they're saying you can use JSONable encoder for that. Excuse me, they're saying it receives an object like a pydantic model and returns a JSON compatible version. Okay, what receives the JSONable encoder function is what receives that. Then this is of course for Python 3.10 plus, and this is the line of interest. Okay, we know this is normal Python, importing datetime from datetime. They've imported FastAPI from FastAPI, base model from base model to create this pydantic model, having a title, timestamp. Title and timestamp are required. Okay, you see, title is a string, timestamp is a date time, and description can be a string or none, but default value is none, meaning it is optional. And then we have a fake DB here, which is simply an empty dictionary, an instance of FastAPI. Then you have a path operation decorator, which is a put action or a put operation with a path parameter ID, which must be a string. And you know that because of just having this and this, FastAPI will extract and validate. Okay. And then we have item, which is a request body parameter. Remember that from when we're learning about the request body and pydantic models. This will become part of the request body. But what we're interested in is this line. Okay. They're saying JSONable encoder item. Why? Because item is a pydantic model. Okay. So they're converting it to JSON first. Then they say fake DB, where the key is this ID, they save this. Okay. Because this DB only takes JSON-like objects or JSON only. So this is one use case. Okay. I don't need to even show this. Okay. Okay. So we continue. They're saying other version and variant. So if you have Python 3.8, yeah, look at this. But concept is 100% the same. What changes I'm saying is only union, using union for your type annotation. And again, if you didn't study type annotations, look at our first or second stream that I did on this channel. You'll see me doing a study about that. So they're saying in this example, it would convert the pydantic model to a dict and a date time to a str. Okay, so this is the model. that would be converted using this function JSONable encoder. It takes that item and converts it, and result is stored in this variable. So this title, this timestamp would be changed to a string on this line of code. Okay, as simple as that. So this to a string, and this whole thing would be converted to a dictionary. Okay, let's continue. They're saying the result of calling it is something that can be encoded with the Python standard JSON.dumps. Okay, so all of you who have been studying Python for some time, you know what JSON.dumps is. Okay, and by the way, if you're new, if you've not done Python and then you're following along with this, you may understand, but you may have first some difficulty. Okay, the best thing would be for you to study Python afresh. So they're saying it doesn't return a large str, or it doesn't return a large string containing the data in JSON format. Okay, it returns a Python standard data structure, for example, a dictionary with values and sub-values that are all compatible with JSON. Oh, so it doesn't return one large string. It simply returns a data structure with values and sub-values which are all compatible with JSON. Okay, that is nice. So it's a dict-like with values and sub-values all compatible to JSON. So they're saying JSON-able encoder is actually used by FastAPI internally to convert data, but it is useful in many other scenarios. Yeah, this is good to know. So we know that they are using it internally. Yeah, and this brings us to the end of today's stream. I've studied one more thing. I've got my information. I know now more configuration for the path operation function. Okay, using tags, summary, the description, deprecated response model. Okay, and now I know about the JSON compatible encoder, which will help me convert data types, okay, like pandatic models, okay, to something which can be stored in a database, okay, to make something compatible. In other words, the JSON compatible encoder is something I need in FastAPI when I encounter a situation when I have data which is not JSON like. Okay, so I use JSON compatible encoder to turn my data into something compatible with JSON. So yeah, let's meet tomorrow. We'll talk about body updates. We can look at body updates and something else down here. Where? Oh, actually, we're done. We're now going into dependencies. Okay, so let me see what is here. Let's look at body updates tomorrow. Okay, then in the next stream, we'll be starting dependencies, or you can even start dependencies tomorrow. Okay, because body updates might be really short. All right, talk to you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening, morning, night, wherever you are. I've enjoyed my learning today, and I hope you've picked something. See you soon.